Great. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Helps to turn this around the right way, doesn't it? Yeah, there we go. Mike, where are you? Did a fabulous job setting the stage. I'm going to take us one step further and take a look at one of the activities that we have embedded in the MBA Res 2 program, and it's called Open Spaces Technology, and it comes from the work by Harrison Owen, and a great little piece for allowing multiple conversations to take place in a room, and an opportunity for learners to talk about anything that is of importance to them in that moment. And Mike had mentioned that the learners that come on board with us, they see a video on the very first night that they arrive. It's about an hour that showcases an interview with the client. And there is just a myriad of information that is given at that time. And students walk away from viewing that video with questions, information, and just a potpourri of different angles and things they're thinking about and directions. And the open spaces activity that we do on the second day of the residency is about giving them that space to talk about the questions and the issues, to start to make sense of everything that they've been hearing in the interview process. So to set the stage, I just want to show a few pictures of what this actually looks like. We do the Open Spaces event in this room. So imagine 40 learners from cohort A sitting, first of all, in what you see here, a circle. So literally we have an open circle here, and we have around the room and even in the hall about 9 stations that have a flip chart and chairs. And it is a semi-structured event. So what happens is the learners come and I set the stage and I ask them, think about everything that you heard and saw in the video. And when you're ready, and it's on a voluntary basis, come forward to the center of the circle and declare a topic, an issue, a question that you would like to discuss. So it could be, on a voluntary basis, someone comes forward in the center of the room and says, I would like to have a conversation based on the approach to leadership that I saw being used. Or someone else will come forward and say, I want to talk about the impact that the oil sands development is going to have on the community in general. So people come forward one by one, declare their question, their issue, write it down on a flip chart, and then we post it on a whiteboard. So we end up, after all of the questions and issues have been exhausted, with about maybe 24, 25 questions on the whiteboard. What I then do is I divide those questions into what I call 3 rounds of conversation. So I'll take those 7 or 8 questions, post them at each of those stations that I mentioned, and then give the learners 30 minutes to go where they want to wander and have conversations where they want to have conversations. Now, the philosophy behind open spaces is that every single issue that anybody cares enough about to talk about is on the table and up for discussion. And in that 30-minute period, students can spend all of their time discussing the leadership approach, or they can wander to a second area, or they can strategically maneuver to all the different 7 or 8 stations that are available. They take notes, they talk as deeply as they can about the issues that are on the table, and they move freely. I think one of my favorite rules for this process is the law of 2 feet, which says if at any time you're not learning or contributing, use your 2 feet. Go to some other place where you can learn and contribute. After we have 3 rounds of conversations and they have lots more questions and some more information, I ask them to go back to their MBA teams and spend about half an hour talking about what they learned in conversations with people during that room, and then to start using that, synthesize the information, and then to start thinking about how they can move closer now to that research question that, as Mike described, is part of what they're going to deliver on the final day to the client. So it gives them a chance to take everything that they're thinking about and create their own agenda in that first 3-hour class around how they can start coming closer to the question that they want to work on and deliver to their client. In terms of an event, it gets messy before it gets very structured, and they often leave the session still, again, with more questions than answers, and that's quite fine. But at least they've had a chance to compare information. And I remember with that train example that Mike shared, I can remember one person stepping up who had absolutely no idea what the world of technology is like around the train track track, simply stood up and says, I just want to know what it's like to work with a train. I have absolutely no concept whatsoever. So we actually had one area where people brought their collective wisdom about that unique culture and that unique environment. And on that, no, oh, that's such a lovely, subtle way, yes. 1 minute. Well, I'm gonna close her down very quickly. So the law of 2 feet allows them to move forward. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the day Steve Grundy and a group of the executive were coming through to actually see this in action. It's a starting point for the PBL process, and that then leads them into to more focused discussions afterwards. So that is Open Spaces Technology. Thank you.
Amy.
Oh, Carolin, did you want to share your questions? Sorry, thank you. So the questions are simply, I'd like to know how you could actually transfer an activity like this in our online learning environment, and how that could be done, and how you might be able to use it for your own teaching, and also how we might be able to use an open spaces not outside the classroom, just at Royal Roads in general too. Okay.